Okay, um, let's get started here. So I wanted to do a follow-up tutorial to the one I did earlier about my BVH plugin for Blender, BVH file import from Brekel Face Pro 2. And this tutorial is basically complementary to the previous one. And it's a plugin, separate plugin that manages FBX exports from Brekel Pro Face 2 and allows you to work with the FBX exports from Brekel Pro Face 2 the same, in a similar fashion to the BVH one. So I have a workflow that I described in my other tutorial, which is significantly longer than this one, I expect, that describes how to work with face meshes, shape keys, and the animations that are exported by Brekel in BVH format. In this case, we're going to take a little look at the exports from Brekel Pro Face 2 that are the FBX ones, and see how we can work with those in a similar fashion. And what my add-on provides here is basically a way to use FBX exports from Brekel in the same way that you can work with the BVH ones. And why not just work with BVH ones? Well, the current version of Brekel Pro Face 2, at least on my PC under Windows 8.1, is a bit crashy. And Brekel knows about it, and he's been working on this, fixes for that. But in the meantime, FBX export is significantly less crashy. It's crashed once out of, I don't know, like 20 exports. So it's significantly more stable, and as a result, it's preferable to work for me with FBX exports. And anyway, if you prefer FBX exports, this add-on provides a way to use those FBX exports nicely with Brekel, because without the add-on that I've worked on, the FBX exports aren't ideal. And so a combination of this particular add-on that I describe here and the one that I described in my other video make them a lot easier to work with. So let's get moving here. Let's take a look at what you get from a Brekel FBX export file. So what we're going to do here is just import one of those using the FBX importer built into Blender. And just as a note, as in my other video, we're working here with Blender 277A. The add-on that I'm going to be talking about here has also been tested with 272. So my expectation is anyway that any Blender version between 272 and 277A, which is the current version as of the date of this recording, should probably work with this fine with this add-on. So let's take a look. What do we got here? Well, one really cool thing that comes with the FBX export that doesn't come with the BVH export is this face mesh. And I have a feeling that this face is actually Brekel's himself, but I don't know for sure. Nevertheless, it's a very useful thing to have for demonstrating what we get here. So I'm just going to go into ortho mode, and there's the face. So yes, we definitely get a face mesh. That's one of the things we get. And if we take a look, let's just make sure, let's just select the face mesh alone. The face mesh alone comes with a bunch of shape keys, as you might expect. There they are. So there are all the shape keys for manipulating the face, and I described that in my other tutorial in a little bit more detail. But you'll notice also that they've been keyframed. That's what the color is on the numbers there. And if we take a look now, because what we get with this FBX export file is not just a face mesh, obviously, but let's take a look at some of the other things we get here. Whoops, oh shoot, let me just fix that. Let's try to get that again. There we go. Okay, so what do we have here? Let's put a dope sheet up here and the graph editor down here. Okay, so if we go to the shape key editor, we'll see that if we run this animation, what we're seeing is one of the actions, and now we're running past where we actually have keyframes, so where we have the keyframes end around 113, so let's say 113 here for the end of our animation. So one of the actions that's included with the FBX export is a series of keyframes for all the shape keys that are defined for the face mesh that you see here. And indeed, this is a retargetable action. So if we have any arbitrary mesh that has the same shape keys that we see here defined, then we can actually take this action and apply it to that face mesh, and they should work just fine. Now, it's important to realize that these are keyframes that actually control the shape keys directly. There's no indirection, so there's no driver involved or interposed between the keyframes that you see here and the shape key values. This is direct keyframing of the shape key values. So that's one of the actions that we see here, and that's the only action that controls the shape keys directly. However, there's some other things that get included in this FBX import that we just imported. Let me see, there we go, okay. You'll notice in addition to the face mesh and the animation we just looked at here, that's this one, we also have an armature. And what do we got there? Well, we got a lot of stuff in there. Let's just take a closer look at that. There's a lot of stuff in there. So we have an armature. So let's take a look at the actual bones defined for that armature to begin with. And to do that, it's helpful to kind of make this guy go away. So I'm just going to hide that. And let's select a bone in this armature that we see here and go to pose mode, and then we'll zoom in on, let me see if we can find that guy, because he's, there it is. It's very hard to find. There it is, way over there. Okay, so there it is. Okay, and it's actually useful to look at that. Let me see, does this help? Yeah, okay, that helps visualize things a little bit better. So we have also in this FBX file an armature, so a series of bones, and associated with that is an animation. That's this animation here. So if we select something here, let's say, oh, I guess we already have it there. We've selected, let's just see, the face. That's this guy down here. And we run the animation, you will see, there it is. You will see what, if you use your imagination, and it might help to see the other tutorial, a series of what Brekel calls as face joints. And these are the points on the face that the Kinect has markers for. Oh, well, I mean, it's markerless motion capture, but it captures the motion of these various face points and provides animation data for each of these individual face points. So this is a much more fine-grained form of animation than the shape key animation we were just looking at, because it actually involves all these separate points on a face. So you can sort of see as I said, if you use your imagination, there's the mouth down there, and these are the eyebrows, and these are the eyes, which are mostly closed. And that was, I'm not sure why that happened. I think it's not a very high fidelity motion capture I did for this example. But nevertheless, you can sort of see the face there. And to use this particular armature for motion capture, it's something I don't use. I use shape keys, but you can use this as an alternative. My add-on doesn't use this this data or this armature at all, and neither does my other add-on. But you know, it's an option for you if you want more sort of fine-grain control. There are quite a few more points here, and it involves an armature that you've got to bind to your face mesh if you're going to use this approach. Okay, so that's the second type of animation that's included in the FBX file. And then there is a third type, and that's with all of these empties you see here. So let's take a closer look at some of those empties. So what you will see, whoops, let me go here. If I zoom in on this, you can get rid of this panel. Okay. Let's go on top. There, okay, so we're looking down on what Brekel provides us with. This is a whole bunch of empties. And each empty is associated with one of the shape key names that we saw, right? So then you see brow down on the left side, brow down on the right side, brow up, and so on. You know, what do these represent? Well, if we look at them from the front, let's take a look at a particular one here. So let's zoom in a little bit. Okay. And let's run the animation from the beginning. Okay, there, you can see it sort of moving up and down a little bit along with all of its neighbors there. So each of its neighbors represents a particular shape key on the mesh, and it represents the shape key value for the animation. So this is this one, and each one of these actually, so if you take a look, each one of these empties has their own separate animation. So this is the animation that dictates the offset of that particular shape key, and here's another one, it has its own animation, and so on. So you actually, for each empty, you've got a separate action all the way down. And while this is could be potentially useful for the kind of the workflow that I use, unfortunately, because each of these empties has its own action, it's a bit hard to work with these because my preference is to have one action that encapsulates the motions for all the shape keys. And that's the kind of action you see with the Brekel BVH export that I discuss in my other tutorial. So let's recap. We have in the FBX export 3 different types of animations that do essentially the same thing. We have the keyframe animation for the face mesh, which directly controls the shape key values. We have the face joint, the various face joints here, and animation for those with a particular armature. And then finally we have all these empties down here, and each one of these empties, while they could potentially control a shape key via a driver, the problem with these is that each empty has its own animation instead of one animation being associated with all the different shape keys. So frankly, none of these are suitable for the kind of workflow that I prefer, which motivated the development of an add-on that I created. And the add-on I created, all it does is it basically creates a fourth kind of animation. It creates an armature in the same style that you would obtain if you used Brekel's BVH export option. which is discussed at length in my other tutorial, and an action that controls that armature. So what I'm going to show you now is how to use that add-on. So we can sort of collapse some of this stuff because it's getting kind of cluttered. And I'm going to show you how to load that first. So just very quickly, let's load that add-on. And wait, to do that, actually, we've got to download it. And I'll provide the link to the add-on in the comment section or in the description of this video. But it's available on GitHub. It's completely free. And here we are. We'll just go here. Click on that, and then we're going to go to raw mode. So there it is. Just a rather short little bit of Python there. Let's download it. We don't want the txt extension, just the .py extension. Yes, because obviously I've done this more than once before. Now I've downloaded it, and now we want to go to our add-on section of Blender. We want to, let me just make sure I haven't got it in there already. No, I've got my other one here for creating drivers, which is described in the other tutorial, but I haven't yet got the one for installing or working with the FBX files. So let's get that. So here we are. There it is. Okay, so let's install that. Okay, and as you know, it's one thing to get it loaded, and it's another thing to recognize this. You gotta select it there, and now it's usable. Okay, so let's go back to Blender. Okay, so now hit the space bar and type BREK. There it is. Okay, so there's the action. And so what we're going to do here is what this add-on does is basically looks at what we've already imported, and it creates basically a fourth option, a fourth object. And there it is, as you can see. And those of you who have watched my other tutorial about the BVH style Brekel export, you may recognize this. This is basically an armature of the BVH style that also represents the shape key offsets. And this armature allows you to use my other add-on to drive shape key values via drivers. And that is my preferred workflow, is to use drivers to drive the shape key values rather than directly keyframing them, which is already supported by the FBX file export. But because I like to have this level of indirection between the thing that's animated and the thing that's being animated, namely the thing that's being animated in this case is our armature, or the thing that is animated is our armature, and the thing that's being animated are the shape keys. Because that gives me the ability to adjust the mapping between the original animation and the way the shape keys are animated in our target mesh. And if you look at the other video, you kind of maybe get some sense of appreciation for why that is preferable to direct keyframing of the shape keys themselves. In any case, so here we have that, and I've selected it now, so if I hit play, nothing happens. Why is that? Well, it's because there's no action associated with it. Now, one would hope there is an action, because you want to be able to use the action and import it into your target animation scene. And what's happened is that you can see here. Here's the armature that was created, and there's a bone for each one of the shape keys in the target mesh. And now what we want to do is find an action that works with that, and so I'm going to go back to the action editor, And we'll see here that along with all the FBX actions, there's a new one now that's called just recording. That's the one that was just created by my add-on. And if we click on that, that's going to associate this action with the armature that was also just created. And there we go. You'll see now if we run this thing, you're going to see that these individual bones that are associated with the different shape key values are rotating in the x-axis to reflect the amount of offset that the shape keys should have. And that's basically what the Brekel BVH export armature does as well. So I guess there are two things that this add-on provides you with in summary. One is that it provides you with another way of working with Brekel motion capture, facial motion capture, in a way that I prefer. So this is a way that this particular approach allows you to work with drivers and shape keys. And the FBX export in its current form, without using this add-on, doesn't support that. So by using the add-on, you can now use this to drive drivers. And secondly, it also provides backwards compatibility, or compatibility, I guess, with BVH files, and BVH file based motion capture from Brekel as well. And those two things combined are pretty nice, and work well, at least for my workflow. So hopefully this can also work with you. And if you want to understand, where you can go once you've got, this odd-looking armature here, like how this relates to actually doing animation of your character, then take a look at my my companion tutorial that's significantly longer, but goes into quite a bit more detail about how you can now take this armature or the action that's been defined for this armature and use that for doing facial motion capture animation. Okay, that's it for this, and I hope this has been useful for you. Thanks, bye.